Today I'm going to share some thrifted makeovers. Welcome to Create by T. I recently thrifted a bag of embroidery hoops for less than $1 a piece. I took some cloth from a drop cloth and also cut it into a square rectangle piece, and also got out my stamps and some StazOn ink. I went ahead and lined up the cloth, and then I stamped with some black StazOn ink the words hello. I then put it into the embroidery hoop and made it nice and snug, and then I trimmed the back off and took a glue gun to it and glued down the edges around the back. I added some boxwood greenery from Walmart and a piece of trim for the hanger, and this is how it turned out. For the next project, I picked up several of these glass jars someone was selling on Facebook. They are IKEA jars and they were selling them for 50 cents a piece. I wanted to make sort of a crockery jar out of them, so I took my IOD molds and I wanted to create a number that would stick onto the outside of the jar. I took some air dry clay and I spread it into the two numbers that I wanted. Then once I took it out, I took some Gorilla Glue and I went ahead and glued it to the side of the jar and let it dry. Next, I took this Parisian gray chalk paint from Folk Art and I gave the jar a few coats. Then I distressed in a few spots, and this is how it turned out. Next, I picked up this breadboard that also has some little feet on the bottom at Goodwill. I wanted to make it over, and I paid about $3.49 for it. I sanded down the top to get rid of the decal and also used the Parisian gray to go over this as well. I painted the top and the bottom, distressed the edges, and this is how it turned out. For the next project, I had been on the hunt for an older wooden stool. I hadn't found too much luck, but one day someone posted this one on Facebook for $5. I brought it home and wiped it down. I took it outside and flipped it over, and I gave it 2 coats of a matte black spray paint. After it dried, I flipped it back over and I sanded the top of the stool. Then I took some sandpaper and sanded the edges of the rungs and the sides of the legs of the stool. Once that was done, I took my antique wax from Folk Art and I gave it a nice coat on those edges and also again on the top of the stool where the seat is. I wanted it to have a distressed two-toned look, and this is how it turned out. Next, I purchased this ceramic bunny for 99 cents at the thrift store. I gave it a clear coat so that my paint would adhere better to the bunny. Once that was dried, I went ahead and took my Waverly chalk paint in white and a little bit of baking soda and mixed it up. This would give it more of a textured feel and a little bit of an older look to it. I went over it with 2 coats and then let it dry. And this is how it turned out when it was finished. If you like thrifted makeovers and home decor on a budget, please consider subscribing and liking this video. Thanks for watching.